Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and jump right into, our Ohio State Texas preview then, because I you have talked about how worried about Quinn Ewers you are, and I've shared a similar sentiment. Um, his stats look a little bit better in this game than what they
Mhm.
really were because of the two overtimes. He finished 20 of 30 for 322 yards, three touchdowns, and a pick. Um, his pick was a bad decision. I mean, the Arizona
Yes.
State player made a phenomenal pick, diving around to get that pick, but he
Mhm.
kind of threw it in the double coverage. There were two guys there, and that and Arizona State had already started gaining momentum by that point, and that firmly solidified their momentum. Um, I I don't think this team has what it takes to beat Ohio State. And everyone talked about their defense. They gave up 31 points to Arizona State after giving up 24 to Clemson.
Yeah.
And now you're about to go up against a Lamborghini offense in Ohio State that's got weapons all over the field. Their offensive line's been beating people up, so they can run the ball well as anybody. I truly don't know how Texas stops this Ohio State offense, and I don't think Quinn Ewers has played well enough to be able to carve up Ohio State's defense to make that side of the ball much of an issue either.
No, for sure. And mind you, in the Clemson game, you gave Cade Klubnik in Clemson, who's a running team, can't really pass. You gave him a career day.
Yeah,
He had a career
he
day on
threw
him.
for over 320 yards.
So you see that it was. I don't know if Clemson on defense is going to be able to keep Ohio State from getting to 30. I don't know if they're going to stop them from getting to 30. Quinn Ewers, I don't think he trusts his eyes right now. I don't I don't think his head coach trusts him. Uh, and I think if I think Jim Knowles is going to come after Quinn Ewers very early. He's going to do
Yes.
it very early. And if Texas can't, first off, if Texas can't run the ball, which no one, Ohio State doesn't allow anyone to run the ball. I
Yeah.
put out some of my favorite stats from the first two games of the playoffs right now. Ohio State's giving up 1.9 a carry right now. 1.9. That's insane.
Yep.
And so if they can't do that, if you have a quarterback, and I love Quinn Ewers, I think he's actually a pretty good quarterback. I just think he has mental struggles, man. He has a very bad mental lapses. And then what did you think about what did you think when Sarkisian was sitting there talking to his kicker?
That was weird. I was telling my friends, like, why would you ever talk to a kicker? Like, this is gonna be the biggest kick of this kid's
Dude,
life, and you're just putting more pressure on him.
dude
Just let him
he
be.
he was sitting there giving him like a speech.
Yeah, I
And I'm
mean,
like,
Burt Auburn missed two key field goals that could have won them the game. And if this
yeah,
game comes down to it, I I, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but the special teams might be a tie or in favor of Ohio State based on that
James
kicking
still thinks is a
performance.
better kicker than him.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe that. Um,
Mhm.
and you know, specifically about Ewers, I do think they're going to come after him a little bit. They're not going to have to spy him like they did Dylan Gabriel, so that frees up Cody Simon to
At
be
all.
more of a free rusher. And the way the defensive line is just pushing back the pocket, I think Ewers has had issues with arm strength, throwing the ball, you know, sideline to sideline, specifically to the far hash. If he's got far
Mhm.
hash throws he's trying to get, those defensive backs are going to close on that. That's going to be a pick, maybe even pick six. So, um, I really like. I would have loved to play Arizona State, but I still don't think that Texas poses too much of a threat right now. The only thing that concerns me is if their defensive line remembers that people said they were good at one point, and then they start playing like it, and then they start controlling the line of scrimmage, and Ohio State's offensive line somehow doesn't sustain what we've seen the last 2 weeks. But at this point, they've given me enough to for me to trust them, quite frankly, even against the Texas defensive line that's supposed to be pretty good. So, I don't really, I don't, I guess the only other thing that does concern me is this game's going to be played in Dallas. You know, they're going to have a home field advantage. It's going to be Texas people all over the place.
I don't care. I mean, let me tell you why I'm not worried about that. Ryan Day and domes. If there's one thing I'm confident in is Ryan Day and domes. As long as Devin Brown and Lincoln Kinnels on the quarterbacks.
Fair, but again, that will cause some issues. But I also, I mean, Ohio State fans travel, so it's not certainly going to be an overwhelming. It'll probably be 60-40, 65-35, somewhere in that range, just because of the proximity to the arena. But I really like where Ohio State is, and this is a revenge game for Ohio State. There are players on that team who were teammates with Quinn Ewers. They know they left Ohio State. They knew he came just to collect an NIL paycheck and bounce back home. They want to make him feel it. There are guys, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, they came in the same class as him, and they're going to want to tear his head off and then meet each other at the quarterback. So I can't wait to see what they do to Quinn. I really can't.
And not to mention, so maybe I'm a sicko for holding on to a grudge this long. Maybe I am. I still haven't gotten over how in 2006, I'm sorry, in 2005.
Are you talking about the Ryan Hamby game?
Huh?
You're talking about the Ryan Hamby game?
The Vince Young game. But
yeah. I mean, in that game also,
I know what you mean.
Ryan Hamby dropped he dropped that easy touchdown that they could have won the game.
This is why I always get angry about that game. I truly believe if Troy Smith was allowed to play the whole game, remember, we lose that game 21-14. If he's able to play that whole game, I don't know how I remember this. During the broadcast, they said whoever wins this game is probably going to go see USC in the national championship. And don't forget, that year we went and saw Brady Quinn and them and popped them in the mouth. And I truly believe had Troy Smith played that game, we would have gone on to play for the national title. I've never forgiven Texas for that. I'm still not over that bowl loss to Colt McCoy.
I mean, that wasn't a very good Ohio State team that played in that 09 Fiesta Bowl, if I'm being honest.
And they should have won, and they still should have won. So it's rare. It's been a long time since we get to play Texas. It's a rare matchup that we get to see here in college football, kind of like Indiana Notre Dame.
Well, you know what's funny? The loser of this game will play back-to-back games against the other team because these two teams open college football next year. They play on August 30th. They're the first game that they play.
Yeah, you're right.
So if Texas loses to Ohio State, they're going to play them. That'll be the first team they play next year. So it'll be back-to-back Ohio State teams they play. Same thing with Ohio State if they happen to lose this game. So right now, extremely early prediction. How do you see this game going?
I think because this will be the best offensive. This will be probably the best offensive line we've seen all season. So I do believe they'll be able to stay on the field a little bit longer, but it's not going to matter. I'm going to take Ohio State 38, Texas 20.
I have Ohio State 35, Texas 17. The line right now is 6. Yeah, the line is 6. I grabbed it yesterday. It was at 6.5 because I was afraid it was going to jump up even more. I'm kind of mad I got that extra half point. But I just don't see any way that Texas is going to be able to keep up with this offense. I just don't. From what we've seen from Jeremiah Smith and Will Howard, there's no way they're going to be able to cover those guys and make a big game. And like I mentioned before, I think this could be a Carnell Tate game. They've been kind of keeping him quiet a little bit with all of the attention that's going to be on Smith and Egbuka. I think that they're going to be able to have Tate be more wide open. And, I could see him having 50, 60 yards receiving in this game.
If he had 50, 60 yards, this is a wrap.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
Well, to be honest, I don't think this game's going to be close at any point. I think Ohio State's going to kind of jump on their throats like they have in each of the last two games. And I think those 17 points, maybe 10 of them come in the first half, and there's like a second half touchdown that doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Mhm.
I don't. This is the first time this season since the Oregon game that I have been overly confident. Maybe I was overly confident against Michigan. I don't know. But this is the
We
first
all
time
were.
since then that I have felt that Ohio State is by far and away the better team and shouldn't have any issues.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. And like I think Texas does have the ability to get up to a fast start. And I think that they'll stick with Ohio State for about a half. But by the time that third quarter rolls around, I mean, we know how Ohio State is the best second half team in the country, especially in the third quarter. I think they give up less than a point in the third quarter this season. So
That third quarter touchdown Oregon gave up was the only touchdown that have given up all year in the third quarter.
that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Last thing before we get out of here. If Ohio State does in fact win this game, who would you rather have, Notre Dame or Penn State? I'll tell you my answer. I would
Go ahead.
rather have Penn State because Ohio State, they just own that program. They own them.
Mhm.
Ryan Day is deep inside James Franklin's brain, like Michigan is deep inside Ryan Day's brain. It's that kind of relationship. And I don't think that they would. I mean, we saw in the first game, it was at Penn State. They had a 10-0 lead, and they couldn't do jack with it. They
Yeah.
didn't score an offensive touchdown. And I think Ohio State would easily take care of Penn State. Now, I think they're going to end up getting Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's going to win that game, but I would rather have Penn State.
All right. So I'll take it somewhere else. Part of me would want Penn State because I just want to see ESPN in hell and have them see two Big Ten teams at a national championship. That would just make my day. Then when you have Notre Dame, I think that would be more of a historical game.
It would be a bigger brand game for
bigger
sure.
brand game. Now,
yeah.
Who I'd rather play? I would rather play Notre Dame. I think
just because their offense is gross.
Yes, I think Drew Adler has potential in him that is untapped that Riley Leonard can't even sniff to.
He's definitely a better passer. That's undisputable.
And if I just want an easy chip, you're not beating Ohio State running that offense. You just won't. You just can't.
The only difference is with that offense, you can drain the clock, and that was clearly what Michigan was trying to do, and that's what they succeeded in, was keeping the ball away from Ohio State's offense. That's the only way that they could win that game.
But those boys were blue and gold.
Well, sure, and it's close enough to maize and blue where they might. Oh, wait a second.
Hey, by the way, just another little quick jab at Oregon fans. After we scored that 24th point, we could have gone 3-0 the whole rest of the game and still won.
Still wouldn't matter. Wouldn't matter.